Drug lord Pablo Escobar, who was born in Colombia, had a lifetime peak net worth of $30 billion. When he was alive, Pablo Escobar was the leader of the Medellin Drug Cartel, one of the most notorious and brutal drug organizations in history. The Medellin Cartel controlled 80% of the global cocaine market at the height of its dominance. Along the way, Pablo and his cartel were accountable for tens of thousands, if not more, homicides. Numerous victims of these murders were innocent citizens. Here's 5 interesting facts about Pablo Escobar to think about before we take a closer look into his life. Number 1. He cut a deal with Colombia to go to prison, but made a deal to go to a luxurious prison he had designed, built and named La Catedral, the cathedral. If this doesn't demonstrate the authority Pablo Escobar possessed, I don't know what does. Escobar accepted a bargain to serve time in prison in 1991, but not just any prison. He was held captive in a prison he had built himself, which he called La Catedral. The prison contained patios, a soccer field, and a barbecue pit. He constructed a compound nearby where his family might live. Escobar agreed to an agreement with the Colombian authorities that allowed him to pick the inmates and prison staff members he wanted to work with him. He was also allowed to keep running his business and hosting guests. Furthermore, the Colombian authorities were prohibited from traveling closer than 3 miles to Escobar's prison. Everything was okay up until reports of Escobar's ongoing illegal activity hit the news. On July 22, 1992, the administration attempted to transfer Escobar to a more traditional prison. Escobar was informed in advance of the plan by his contacts, which gave him the opportunity to make a quick getaway. Number 2. He smuggled about 15 tons of cocaine into the U.S. every day. Because El Patron was the one who was successful in smuggling cocaine into the United States undetected, Escobar received 20 to 35% of the earnings from the sale of cocaine from the Medellin and other cartels at the height of his dominance. Number 3. He started a fire with $2 million because his daughter was cold. When the Escobar family was on the run from Colombian and American DEA agents, they lived in a Medellin mountainside bunker. Manuela, the small daughter of Escobar, developed hypothermia due to the cold. Escobar warmed her up by setting $2 million in cash on fire, just like any loving father would. However, it's quite obvious that Escobar just might have too much money in this situation as well, as most normal people would find some items of slightly less value to set on fire. But as they say, it's the thought that counts. Number 4. The king of cocaine factored in a $500 million loss in profits every year due to rats. The absurd wealth of Escobar has a drawback. He couldn't launder his money quickly enough, so he ended up hiding large sums of money in Colombian farms, abandoned warehouses, and the walls of cartel members' homes. $500 million is about what that 10% write-off equates to annually. Is it possible to conceive having so much money that you don't know what to do with it and that losing it to rodents and mold isn't a big deal? Number 5. By the end of the 1980s, Escobar supplied 80% of the world's cocaine. Accordingly, 4 out of every 5 Americans who used cocaine snorted the cocaine Escobar imported into the country. Profits of $60 million a day were the outcome of this. Escobar once made the remark that the business of selling cocaine was essentially simple. You bribe someone here, you bribe someone there, and you pay a friendly banker to help you bring the money back. Alright guys, we're halfway through our video on Pablo Escobar's insane wealth. If you're enjoying this video, we'd appreciate if you would take a second to like and subscribe, as it shows us that you value this content and helps us to know what videos you would like in the future. Now back to the life of Mr. Escobar. Criminal career. Pablo started the Medellin Cartel, a sizable cocaine operation, in 1975. He had approximately 20 aircraft, including a Learjet and 6 helicopters, which he used to transport drugs across the United States and between Colombia and Panama. Escobar would purchase cocaine paste in Peru, refine it in a lab, and then smuggle it into the tires of aircraft. For smuggling the drugs, a pilot may earn up to $500,000 US dollars per flight. The Medellin Cartel controlled 80% of the cocaine smuggled into the United States by the middle of the 1980s, making over $420 million per week off of the huge demand for cocaine there. Over 15 tons were smuggled in each day by the cartel. Escobar was one of the 10 richest persons in the world and already had a net worth of $30 billion. The underprivileged people of Medellin viewed him as a hero at the height of his illicit career, but the U.S. and Colombian governments were now actively looking for him. By portraying himself as a superhero, he was able to gain the support of the people of Medellin by constructing houses, supporting youth football teams, and establishing sports grounds. By acting as lookouts and lying to the police, many citizens assisted Pablo in avoiding capture. Reign of Terror. Eventually, Pablo's fame led to a reign of terror in his home country, Colombia. Escobar was elected to Colombia's Congress in 1982, but he was unable to conceal his immense wealth or the source of it. 2 years later, he was made to resign, and the judge who had uncovered his past was later assassinated. In his rage towards his political rivals after learning his dream of becoming Colombia's president would not come true, Pablo Escobar murdered hundreds of politicians, journalists, public officials, and numerous innocent bystanders. prison and death. The government launched serious attempts to apprehend Escobar when his gang murdered Luis Carlos Gell, a liberal politician and writer who had twice ran for president and posed a serious threat to the still active drug cartels. He bargained with the government for a surrender and an agreement to quit all illegal activity in return for a lighter sentence. In 1991, Escobar turned himself into the police. By this time, there was little likelihood that he would be extradited to the United States to face justice for his crimes because the 1991 Colombian Constitution forbade it. Escobar was incarcerated in La Catedral, his own luxurious private prison. With a jacuzzi, waterfall, football field, and bar, the area was the height of opulence. In July 1992, the government transferred him to a typical prison because he continued to manage the Medellin cartel from within. Pablo made a swift escape and stayed on the run from a tiny army of American Special Forces soldiers, DEA agents, and Colombian narcotics cops. On the roof of an apartment building, he was shot and killed in 1993. Escobar's funeral was attended by about 25,000 people in Medellin, although his passing was largely welcomed by both his home country Colombia and the rest of the world. Money and wealth. 10 accountants were employed by Pablo when his cartel was booming and he was still alive to assist launder hundreds of millions of dollars in illegal funds. According to reports, the rubber bands he used to wrap the money cost him $2,500 per month. Each month, that would be enough to purchase 250,000 rubber bands. Pablo allegedly had to write off $500 million in cash each year due to rotting because a lot of the money was kept in walls and basements. Water damage and fires are examples of spoilage, but famished rats that mistake the money for food were more of a problem. Pablo even offered to pay off Colombia's whole $10 billion national debt while he was on the run if the country implemented legislation making extradition unlawful. Pablo's wealth was initially estimated to be over $1 billion by Forbes magazine in 1987 as part of their initial list of global billionaires. Pablo's personal earnings up to that point were pegged at $3 billion in net profile. In today's dollars, after accounting for inflation, that is equivalent to almost $8 billion. Over the following 7 years, he consistently made the list of the world's billionaires. Early in the 1980s, Pablo paid General Manuel Noriega of Panama an estimated $350 million so that he could hide billions of dollars in the nation's banks. According to reports, the cartel reportedly put a $1 million contract out on Noriega's life once that connection ended and Pablo's funds were stopped. Personal life. In March 1976, at the age of 26, Escobar wed Maria Victoria Henao, a 15-year-old. Naturally, her family disapproved of the romance, so the couple eloped covertly. Son Juan Pablo, later known as Sebastian Mariquin, and daughter Manuela were their 2 offspring. According to reports, Pablo had numerous affairs while the couple was still together. Pop culture. Numerous books, movies, and TV shows have been produced about Pablo Escobar's life and cocaine dealing career. Perhaps most significantly, Netflix's Narcos, which followed the hunt for Escobar, was released in August 2015. Escobar, American Made, and Blow, a high-budget movie from 2001, were also shown on the big screen. At the time of Pablo's passing, he had 4 hippos. By 2007, there were 16. Cocaine Hippos is a documentary made by National Geographic about them. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't done it already, please tap that like button and hit subscribe as we really appreciate it and it helps us to bring out more content that we know you love. Thank you for watching Luxury Living.